Okay, I still see a few people logging in, but I wanted to thank you for coming and start kicking this off. My name's Michelle Amold. I know it says that I'm Jeffrey Moss, but it's actually Michelle here today. I lead marketing efforts for Parker Dewey. Also with me here today is both Lynn and Laura. I want to let them introduce themselves. Lynn, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn Epps. I'm the Senior Associate Director for Employer and Alumni Engagement with the University of Delaware. And we are so excited to have you join this call. Want to thank you for joining the webinar. And we are excited to partner with Parker Dewey and extend an opportunity to participate with this platform, which is going to help you reach your goals of developing and hiring interns, and also help us reach our goals of providing access to meaningful internships for students. So thank you for joining. We'll be following up with everyone after the call. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Laura. And thank you to the Parker Dewey team for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Lynn, and thank you for organizing. Thanks for everybody for joining today. Like I said, my name's Michelle. I'm here on the call today with Laura, who runs our employer engagement here at Parker Dewey. We're going to tag team this presentation a little bit. Do you want to say hello, Laura?
Hi, everyone. As Michelle said, I run employer engagement, and you'll hear from me in just a bit.
You'll see in the Zoom panel, there's an opportunity both to chat as well as use the Q&A feature. If you've got any sort of questions that come up during the event, we'll be monitoring that, but we'll take all the questions at the end. Without further ado, we'll get it started. Yeah, I think micro-internships are not only really important, but also practical and effective. Just a little bit about who Parker Dewey is as an organization. We are a mission-driven company. We strive to connect college students and recent graduates that are launching their careers with companies like yours that are committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and innovation. I'll just start off by saying personally, I didn't know what I wanted to do after going to college. I don't know if I'm alone here on this. I hope not. I was also a first generation college student myself. So I was just told by my parents, you need to go to school because that's what you do now and that's how you'll get a job. And I didn't get much guidance beyond that. So micro internships, I think, definitely would have helped me. I was someone who worked part-time while going to class, so it didn't make sense to me economically to quit my paying job and take on an internship. We'll talk today about what is a micro-internships, different ways that you guys can incorporate it. It's definitely not a replacement for a full-time internship. It's just another option, and it's also a pathway that you guys can use as employers. So I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but like the students at University of Delaware, I'm thankful that my degree program allowed me to gain the core skills needed to succeed. And so a little bit about the Blue Hens, as in case you don't know, University of Delaware has more than 23,000 students pursuing degrees across 8 different colleges. But regardless of their degree program, whatever they're majoring in, all of these students are really developing core skills that are needed in the workplace today to succeed. So things like communication, critical thinking, empathy. But some of these students are missing out on your campus recruiting efforts, and it's simply because they're not able to participate in those traditional methods that you're using to reach them. And these are high potential candidates like student athletes, those working while they're earning degrees, dual majors, and even the non-traditional students who are bringing both sort of their real life experience and the classroom knowledge to your company. So today, we want to show a few ways that micro-internships can help you reach these career launchers at both the University of Delaware and nationwide. Micro-internships are a cost-effective way to enhance your campus recruiting program. It's also a really scalable program. By offering these short-term professional assignments, your company can actually gain early access to college students, expand your reach, support DEI efforts, and effectively assess candidates. So beyond improving your outcomes through these relationships with these college students and recent grads, these professional experiences provide equitable opportunities for college students to demonstrate their skills. They get an opportunity to explore career paths before committing, and they also build relationships as they launch their careers. So that is all of my intro. I'm going to turn it over to Laura to actually dive in more on how it works. Take it away, Laura.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Michelle, for that really great intro. I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into our micro-internship program and specifically our micro-internships for hiring program. But as you all know, campus recruiting is hard. There's a lot of challenges to overcome. One is access, right? Sometimes traditional filtering methods aren't super effective and might leave you fighting over the same small talent pools and potentially missing out on others that might be beyond those pools. Assessment. Resumes alone don't tell the whole story. Someone that might be great on paper might not be so great on the job and vice versa. Diversity. Of course, diversity is a huge priority for companies, but the occasional unconscious bias training might not be enough to really overcome internal preferences for hiring. And finally, conversion is a challenge. Internships are great for conversion, but they can be a big commitment and a big loss of resources if it doesn't work out in the end. So what if there was a way to progressively invest in small steps while students continuously prove themselves? That takes us to our solution. And we really think that it is a win-win that overcomes these challenges. With micro-internships, you can filter, assess, and evaluate candidates based on their willingness to complete work and their actual work product. And that can really go a long way towards shaping how hiring managers might view candidates. The other really important piece is that it lowers risk because these are short-term mutual test drives that you can run until you're sure that you want to take the next step and make the offer. And what's great is in addition to these benefits for you in building your pipeline, it's also providing real opportunities to college students nationwide at UDel to build their portfolios, explore their careers, and connect with employers like you. Cool. So I know we've talked a bit about micro-internships, but let's get in a little bit to the nitty-gritty. What is a micro-internship? These are short-term projects. They tend to range from 20 to 40 hours in duration. These aren't projects that students are working on full-time. The average cost of an individual micro-internship is about $400, and 90% of that goes directly to the career launcher, goes straight to that micro-intern who's completing the work. These are professional assignments. This isn't about fetching coffee. These are assignments that are similar to those given to interns or new hires. They're comprehensive. So what's really great about micro-internships is that they can be used in all industries, across all departments. We've seen micro-internships in sales, marketing, HR, and finance. And the other really important piece is whereas an internship might be just in the summer or a given semester, micro-internships can take place year-round. They're also valued. They provide busy professionals with additional resources. And one really important thing to note is that the majority of micro-internships are done remotely. And this is really great because it opens up access and opportunities to more candidates, although they can be on site. So to give you an idea of sample micro-internships, some of the popular ones that we've seen in the past, so in sales, things like lead generation, prospect research, CRM cleansing, a lot in human resources, job description reviews, candidate sourcing. And really the important thing is that these are professional tasks that could otherwise be done by an intern or an entry-level hire. And they tend to use public-facing information to test for skills that really aren't on a resume. Things like grit, communication, and research. You're also getting a sense of how the micro-intern is communicating and showcasing their work. What's their level of professionalism? So it really does give you a view into that micro-intern, into that candidate that you might not otherwise get. Cool. So some of the benefits of leveraging micro-internships and micro-internships for hiring. Number one, it broadens your company's access to diverse talent pools across the country. 80% of the students on our platform are from underrepresented backgrounds. It creates a pathway for early relationship building on campuses nationwide without actually having to travel to those campuses. Students at UDel's campus around the country will be able to see the opportunities and start building relationships with your team before even meeting them in person. Finally, it improves assessment, conversion, and retention because you're seeing their real work product. And it also provides an authentic view of the company so that you can mutually decide to move forward. We think of it a lot like career dating. The other thing that's really great about micro-internships is they actually support stakeholders across your company and really help you work together. So for you all in university relations, it helps you get an additional parallel pipeline, again, that requires no extra travel. It saves time sifting through resumes by using a candidate's real work product and the insights from the hiring managers that are receiving that work product. It boosts diversity and inclusion by overcoming barriers to traditional recruitment pathways, things like maybe campuses that you're not necessarily going to, or students that aren't coming to the career fairs that maybe aren't aware of the opportunities. It also helps to retrain hiring managers by helping them see opportunities beyond traditional profiles. Instead of just looking at things like GPA, they can get a sense of a student's real work product. And because they're low risk, a lot of times employers are more open to testing out students that they might not otherwise. Finally, for hiring managers, it gets work off their plate. What's really great is that micro-interns are doing work that might not be the best use of your time, but these are projects that need to get done. And it also enhances collaboration with HR. Hiring managers can view the work product, and then they can make recommendations about candidates who they really liked, whose work they've seen in action, and who they think you should move forward with in the hiring process. So our network is pretty vast, and it's very exciting to now have University of Delaware students now be a part of this network. But we have partnerships with 200 plus universities, colleges around the country. As I mentioned, 80% of career launchers come from underrepresented backgrounds. We have access to 11 million highly motivated college students. And what's great is that they're all backgrounds, all majors, all school types. This is a really diverse group. And the one thing that they have in common is they are all hungry for opportunities to build their portfolios, to do work for you, and to really get a sense of their own career direction by connecting with you. Now, there's really two primary ways to leverage micro-internships. One is on demand, and the other is packages for hiring. So MicroInternships OnDemand lets you post individual projects as needed. Do you have a task that you haven't gotten to, not the best use of your time? Well, we can help you get that scoped and posted. And we also have a project library. MicroInternships OnDemand is also a great way to try and test out the platform. So think of this as kind of an individual resource as needed for those pesky work projects that might not be the best use of your time. However, what we think really has the biggest impact, and especially when it comes to hiring, is our Micro-Internships for Hiring program. So with this, we actually work directly with you to design 10, 20, 50 micro-internships to support your hiring needs and assess candidates for fit. So we'll take a look at your entry-level roles, your internship roles, and we'll actually design customized micro-internships that align directly to those roles or to specific departments at your company. One of the things we'll also discuss in a goals assessment call are your target student populations. So is it first generation? Is it student athletes? And we can help make sure that those students are very aware of the micro-internships that you're offering. And finally, based on your entry-level hiring goals, we can help determine program size and investment. Again, of 10, 20, 50, depending on what your needs are. So the launch is actually moving on. Next slide. Yep, thank you. So the launch is really easy. We can actually get it launched within a week of getting a proposal approved. And we do a lot behind the scenes to make sure that it all goes by very easily and evenly. So we post the projects aligned to your timeline. We will provide resources to engage your colleagues, and we'll also provide best practices to the students and help manage each project to completion. So we're kind of the person in the middle, making sure it all runs smoothly. One of the coolest things we think and most useful for you are the data and insights that come from leveraging a micro-internships for hiring program. So at the end of a program, we'll create an impact report that includes quantity and demographics of candidates assessed, the universities that were represented in your applicant pool. How many people did you really reach by posting these micro-internships that you might not have otherwise? We'll also include feedback and insights from your hiring managers and the candidates themselves, and a cost value breakdown to quantify the program effectiveness. Was it worth it? Probably the most important thing and what is really core to who we are is that we're mission driven. We exist to bridge the college to career gap by connecting great talent to great employers. Students need a way to explore. Employers can support that by providing these opportunities while also getting benefits of that broadened access and, an alternative entry-level pipeline. So for these reasons, there's no new hire paperwork. So we are structured as a consulting firm. So all career launchers are 1099s through us. Again, the goal is to make it easy for you to connect with these students. There's also no conversion fees, and there never will be. We want students to get hired. So if you enjoyed working with a career launcher and want to hire them as an intern, a contractor, full-time, go ahead. It's free. There are no fees there. Finally, it's low risk. Career launchers are signing really strict NDAs, and you own all the work product. And we take that liability. So if you're unhappy with your deliverable, we'll give you a full refund. So next steps would be, obviously we'll be opening it up for questions in a second, but you're welcome to connect with us online. You can consider piloting a program to test with hiring managers or maybe an individual team, a high turnover team. And you'll also get early access to University of Delaware students gearing up for winter break if you schedule a call now. One of the reasons why now is also a really great time is we've seen a lot of companies leveraging this as an insurance policy to make sure that you're set for 2020 with the hires that you need. Additionally, if your 2019 budgets are already tapped out, talk to us because we can see about getting it launched in 2019, but leveraging that 2020 budget. And probably the most important piece is that University of Delaware is actually going to be announcing the micro-internship program to their students next week. So with over 600 employers recruiting on UDEL's campus, this could be a really great way to start building relationships and scoping out candidates before anyone actually comes to campus. So really that next step would be to talk to us and see how this could work for you. So with that was the overview. A lot to take in, I know, but at this point, we would be more than happy to open it up for questions and happy to answer whatever you have.
Thank you, Laura, for doing that. Hopefully we've kind of covered again, sort of what is a micro-internship, different ways that you could use it both in campus recruiting and throughout your company. We did get a couple questions. If you have other questions, you can either use the chat or the Q&A feature. Either way, we'll be responding. And again, I know it says it's Jeffrey, but it's really Michelle here. So Laura, the first question we got was actually from Chris. Just wondering about the program itself. Is it mostly geared towards undergraduates, or do we have graduate students participating in these programs? I know the answer, but I'll let you say
it. Well, thanks so much. That's a really great question. So we use the term career launcher, which tends to mean undergraduate students, recent grads, grad students, usually 1 to 3 years out of college. So again, it's really diverse. So to answer your question, it is not just undergraduate students, it's undergrad, grad, and recent grads.
Great, thank you. Another question is just kind of understanding when the project gets posted, is it exclusive to the University of Delaware?
Another really great question. So because of our mission, this is an open platform. So it will be accessible to students nationwide. However, when you and your hiring managers are going in to select that student, you can actually see the university that the students that have applied are from. So if you wanted to go in and specifically pick students from the University of Delaware that fit what you're looking for, great. But again, our goal is to give everyone access to opportunities. So you will see other students on there that may also be a good fit. And that goes to kind of broadening those mentalities as well.
Great, thank you. Another question just came in, wondering about how the in-person micro-internships work as opposed to remote.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as I said, the majority of the micro-internships are done remotely. However, we certainly do have people that come on site. And that's something that you can actually identify when you are posting that micro-internship, or that we would determine in the goals assessment call. So it's something that people have done, and it certainly works. When a project is remote, it is accessible to more people. One of the things that we've seen that's been really successful is, say you need to hire in Delaware. You can put the project as remote but Delaware based, so that should you choose to extend an offer after a micro internship or two, you know that they're local and would be able to come to you. That's kind of a win-win, since we know that college students and recent grads have busy schedules, so sometimes traveling back and forth can be a challenge. The fact that the majority are remote and all micro-internships are paid actually goes back to our diversity and inclusion philosophy. Not everyone can afford to do unpaid internships. Not everyone can necessarily afford to travel. So that's why we open it up in that way. But of course, the choice is up to you if you'd like to post remote or on-site.
Great, thank you, Lara. Bunch of questions coming in. Keep them coming. We're here to answer them. Lara, if you could do a little bit more on how payment works, how we are set up in terms of what is our fee. I think that would be really good to clarify. Specifically, we got the question, the average cost is $400. So if I want 2 micro interns, does that mean it's $800? Can you explain how that works?
Absolutely, yeah. So when you are posting a micro-internship, you are setting that price. So $400 is the average, but ultimately it's up to you. And we can actually help you determine the prices of micro-internships in our scoping process. Of that, 90% will go directly to that micro-intern. That comes to us. We are structured as a consulting firm. The micro-interns are 1099s through us. So we're actually the ones processing the payments. And that 10% is what helps us be able to do that processing and keep the lights on. So that's ultimately how the process works. However, if it is a $400, the amount that the student will receive is what will appear to them when they're going to go and apply for the project. So we already do the math behind the scenes.
Great, thank you, Lara. For those that were asking about that, if you feel like you've got follow-up questions, just let me know. We'll follow up with that as well. Lara, another question that came in was talking about, so schools who are not all already recruiting on campus, what are some ways, so do we have examples where there's an additional facet of the existing on-campus relationship? So I would say, Lara, I think talking about some of our partners who are using this almost as a pathway into their existing programs would be really helpful.
Sure. I mean, so one thing that's really important, when Jeffrey, our founder, created Parker Dewey, there were a couple of rules that he stated. One was that we would never charge a conversion fee. And the other is that our university partners could never force students to be on the platform, right? So our university partners can make students aware of this opportunity, but ultimately the students are the ones that need to be taking the initiative to say, hey, I want to create a profile and I want to be able to do work for these companies. That said, we certainly have students that are on the platform that are not at our university, that found this opportunity just through their own research and are on there. So a student doesn't have to be at a partner institution in order to have a profile, in order to do micro-internships. Of course, we do have partnerships with other organizations. For example, the American Marketing Association is an organization that we have a partnership with that uses this like a channel. The Dell Scholars, the United Negro College Fund. So organizations that we're also partnered with that want to leverage micro-internships to help their students build their portfolios and find opportunities with really great employers like you. Did that answer the question?
Nope, but that was really good information.
Oh, okay. Michelle, I'll let you take it then.
No worries. I wanted to talk more about how, people who are already recruiting on campus are using micro-internships as a facet of their existing recruiting relationship. So I will just talk about one of our partners who is using this as a way to, essentially to get early access to candidates. And so while their traditional summer internship program focuses on rising juniors and rising seniors, they're actually using micro-internships earlier in the process, targeting really those freshmen and sophomore early in their education kind of process. So the goal for this particular company is that they need to build their sort of employer brand awareness. They also want to connect with these candidates early, kind of get them seeing what a day in the life is like, so that when it comes time for that traditional internship, they've already built a pipeline of students that they can work with. So that's one example. I'm sure there are some others that we can think that we can share. I will say we get a lot of campus recruiters that call us our secret weapon. So we don't always share the name, but that said, anything that you guys can do to help drive and create more of these opportunities, again, really just enhances the mission and creates equitable access.
Michelle,
yeah.
One thing to that I would also like to add is, in addition to the building relationships with the freshmen and sophomores, we've also seen companies leverage micro-internships as a way to keep candidates warm. So by that I mean maybe a student applied and they were great for an internship, but maybe there just weren't enough spots available. Or maybe someone did an internship, but there wasn't a full-time role open. By continuing to engage these students in micro-internships, companies can keep these candidates warm, keep them connected to the company, so that when those opportunities do arise, those students will be more inclined to apply.
Great, thank you. And just a little bit more, if you can talk about the scope of the projects in terms of non-confidential information, or examples of like the confidentiality agreement that is used to cover the work. I know you touched on this, but I think if you could highlight again how our NDA works.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all micro-interns, again, are coming into us as 1099s. They sign really strict NDAs. And so what that means is all work product is yours. And if anything were to happen, they would face some pretty severe consequences. So we take it very seriously. When the students are doing work, we do get a lot of questions around confidentiality. And one of the important notes is that a lot of these projects are done with public-facing information, right? These students aren't necessarily getting access to your systems, though we have seen in the past some companies have been okay with that, and it's been totally fine. In 5 years of Parker Dewey, we haven't had any confidentiality NDA issues whatsoever. But of course, when students are doing projects and we are setting up the scope of a micro-internship project, we can set it so that they are using primarily public data, or that you are kind of crossing out data that you don't necessarily want them to see. So we know that information and confidentiality are both extremely important, and that's why we've put a lot in place to make sure that you are very protected as the employer.
Great, thank you. Just wanting to know a little bit more about the hiring process itself. So once you post a micro-internship on the platform, what happens? Do I get a list of candidates? How do I figure out who to pick?
Yeah, that's great. So with the on-demand micro-internships, you can post a project, and usually within 24 hours, you'll actually start getting people that apply. So you'll get an email notification that you have applicants, and then it's up to you to go in and take a look at the candidates that have applied to make your selection. One thing that's pretty unique is that it's not just their resume, but in every project, there's always a few questions that we ask for you to get a deeper sense of that candidate. So, why would you be a good choice for this project? How would you approach this project? And this is something that's really neat because it lets you see their creativity and it lets you see their seriousness about the project. And since we're trying to change mentalities, for example, we had a finance student that applied to a content creation project, which, might not be your first choice, but he gave such a creative example in those questions that ultimately the employer went with him and was really pleased with the quality of his work. So making sure that those questions are there and seeing what those micro interns as they're applying or writing is really key as you're going in and selecting. Now, for micro-internships for hiring, which are our package programs, we actually work with you to determine what's the best method for selecting those candidates. Either you can go in and make those selections based on each project and who's applied, or we can actually go ahead and shortlist them for you to save you time based on some parameters that you provide to us. But ideally, once that candidate is selected, the candidate will receive an NDA, and then the relationship commences. And again, we do provide best practices on both sides and do some work on the back end to make sure it runs really smoothly.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I would just summarize too and say you get to see all of the students, career launchers who are applying to your project. You can read their thoughtful responses, look at their resumes or how they've filled out their profile to make your determination. We've got in-app messaging, so you can ask follow-up questions or connect with the student to ask additional questions. Because most of the projects are kind of short-term, low risk, I would say that between 80 and 90% of the projects actually select a career launcher really just based on that sort of online application, maybe a few back and forths, but it's really flexible. So it's up to your company if you wanted to do a phone screen or anything else. Sort of we've made it so that it could fit into your existing process, or it can be sort of its own different sort of running program. So either way works. I use the platform myself. I don't just work here, I'm also a user. And just the thought and the effort that these students put into responding when I've got like a market research project or I need someone to create content, they're really impressive. And it's clear to see the ones who are striving for an opportunity and the ones who will simply say, you should hire me because this sounds neat. So it's pretty easy to sort of find candidates that are right. So yeah, a couple more questions, Laura. First, we were asked if they can get a copy of the presentation. Absolutely. We're also recording today, so we'll be sure to share the recording as well. And then another question that either Laura and I can take, you let me know, Laura, but for companies that are looking for sort of bigger projects. So specifically here's Joseph is asking, he's got projects that usually take more than 40 hours just to get someone up to speed. Is it possible to do longer period of times through Parker Dewey? Do you want to take it?
I'll attempt and then you can catch me afterwards if I miss anything. One of the things, so the average is, again, 20 to 40 hours. And one of the things we have seen is, a micro-intern will work on a piece of a project for 20 to 40 hours, and then that employer will give them another project. And so they can go about kind of gradually testing the capabilities of that student before then, potentially making an offer. So that's one important piece that I did want to note. But Michelle, I'll let you answer as far as the sizes as well.
I would just say, don't think of Parker Dewey and micro-internships as a replacement for your existing internship program. If you have work that just makes more sense that you need someone to be committed for 2+ months, this could be a pathway into that, or this can really just be supplementary to that. So I would say, yeah, work with our team to help scope the project. The goal would be to find something or identify sort of a task that can be done with minimal onboarding That way, again, the student is sort of just getting a taste of it. You're getting to test drive the candidate, just kind of see their skills at a glance before entering sort of that longer term relationship. That's how I would think about it. Couple more questions. Yeah, so just wondering if there are, going through these, making sure I'm answering the questions correctly. Let's see. So this question is there a platform where you would upload the projects that the intern works from, like a project management software? So Parker Dewey is actually its own platform, and we can work with you to help scope out a project and make sure, again, that it's something that an entry level or college student recent grad is capable of. We have a project library, as Laura mentioned, with templates based on, you know, the most popular requests we've seen come through, best practices as well. And so as terms of project managing the actual project, that would be something where you could work with a student directly if you want them using the tools and systems that you're using, or if you want them to simply give you project updates. That would be for you and the career launcher to discuss and work out. But yeah, you load the project directly into Parker Dewey. That puts it out into the network so all of the students can see and apply for it. Hope that answered that question.
One other thing on that is that a lot of the work product is generally delivered either as, you know, an Excel sheet or as a Google Doc. So these are kind of being as their own individual documents.
Great. One more question about, is there sort of a minimum or maximum amount of time for a student to work with us, and are they getting school credit? I'll take that one unless you're dying to answer it.
It's all you, Michelle.
So there's no minimum or maximum, but all of the micro-internships are on a project-based fee. So again, working with the team to help sort of scope out what is the approximate number of hours of this project. Keeping in mind that, again, these are students and recent grads. They might need to take a little time to do some research on their own or connect to get the task done. Thinking about that. So we'll work with you and help you sort of scope out what the project timeline is. But I've seen everything on the platform from sort of 2-hour-long projects to, like I said, 40, even 60-hour projects. I think we've got one up there right now that's longer. But still, again, the nature of the work is something that the student can complete on his or her own, remotely, over the course of a few weeks. As far as students getting credit, we do connect directly with the schools and share data with them. So if they wanted to offer credit based on the number of hours and work out something like that with the student, it's possible. Every school is different. Every department is different. I will say that unless we've got your help providing sort of consistent ongoing opportunities, we really encourage the students not to rely on micro-internship as their only source of professional experience, because, you know, again, at the end of the day, we need more partners on the employer side offering these opportunities. And I can't guarantee that a company is going to need marketing help on Friday and that's the only day you have free. So we tell the students and work with them closely so they understand sort of the best ways to get their requirements done. Hopefully we answered that one. And one more question just about if we've got specialized software, for example, GIS, would our platform be able to accommodate that? You know the answer, don't you, Laura?
I'll let you take this one, Michelle.
Yeah, so if you're using specialized software that you need the micro intern to use, that would be up to you to provide access to that. Again, the students are signing an NDA and it's got sort of real teeth to it. So you would be able to provide that login to them and understand that they are using that to complete the project. That said, I think what's really interesting about the Parker Dewey network and the fact that we're directly connected with the schools is that a lot of the students have access to a lot of really cool tools, research databases, a wealth of knowledge, academic resources, as well as alumni networks. So You could do some really interesting projects where the students are reaching out to alum, for example, or, you know, getting access to academic research that you as in the business world, we don't always have access to that. So could be really beneficial just to get that different perspective and different tool sets. A lot of the students, and perhaps Lynn might be able to speak to this as well, a lot of the students have access to standard business tools and things through the campus agreements with those software providers. So just a few more questions. Just wanted to get a little more clarity. We talked about the diversity throughout our network, specifically that 80% of the career launchers that are selected on Parker Dewey come from underrepresented backgrounds. The question is, how do we define underrepresented backgrounds? And then the other question is, how does the University of Delaware promote its relationship micro-internships to students? So Laura, do you want to talk a little bit about underrepresented backgrounds on our network?
Sure. So one thing that's really important to us is student privacy. So any information that they are providing, they're choosing to provide about their backgrounds, et cetera. For us, it is first gen, women, et cetera, that are on the platform that otherwise don't necessarily have or are aware of access to opportunities to be able to do internships, or maybe they're, student athletes, or maybe they are already working full-time, et cetera. So it's pretty expansive. And again, any information that a student is sharing with us on the platform, they have specifically chosen to share with us. I'm sure you could add to that, Michelle.
Yeah, no, like you said, a mixture of students. We also have partnerships with different nonprofits like Dell Scholars, which is specifically first generation students, the UNCF, yeah, a lot of different UIA. So a lot of different organizations that, again, these students are saying they are members of, or they're learning about the opportunities through that, or even through their campus programs at University of Delaware. So yep, self-reported data, just like a regular job app. And then the other question, just about how University of Delaware is promoting micro-internships to students. That is something that Lynn and her team are working on. It's really incredible, actually, how much word of mouth spreads once one student does a micro-internship and then tells all their friends about, hey, I had this really cool experience. I got to connect with this company, and hey, I got paid. So it's something that once you sort of get a few students on board, they are excited to talk about it. We've worked with a variety of these career launchers who, some come to the platform with the goal of, I just sort of want to try it and see if I really like it. They do one micro internship and we never see them again because they've achieved their goal. They've achieved some validation. And now they're moving on to, like I said, those full-time opportunities or full-time internship opportunities. We've got other students on the platform who have done 20, 30 more projects than you can imagine. And the things that I'm hearing from them are things like, it's a great source of income because it's flexible. I've also heard from students saying, I want to learn more about every asset of the business and figure out what the best spot for me is. I want to be an entrepreneur and I need to understand businesses inside and out. So it's really cool to see the students all coming, again, from different backgrounds, different goals, and see how they're utilizing the platform. And then, like I said, they word of mouth, they tell their friends, and we continue to grow and expand. So,
Michelle, can I chime in for a second? So this is Hello.
Go for it.
Hi. Okay. So to answer your question, in addition to what Michelle just shared, we are launching a full sort of promotional strategy over the next several weeks using all of our communication channels. And so we will be looking and assessing and seeing how much impact we're making in terms of getting that message out. And ideally, also, as Michelle mentioned, one of our goals is to start promoting it and getting more students involved so we can do the video promotion and things of that nature to really ramp up the benefits of the program for students. So our office is actively and intentionally committed to get the word out and promote this opportunity to all of our student population.
Well, last call for questions. I think we've answered them all. And certainly if we haven't, we've shared both this link to the UDEL landing page, and then we'll follow up. Lynn will follow up. We'll make sure everybody gets the information they need. Okay, I don't see any more coming through. Thank you again so much for joining us. Really appreciate you spending the afternoon with us. Again, this can be an innovative way to connect with students. It can really be supplemental to the things that you're doing already, or it can be a new way to reach students. Either way, we are happy to work with you and excited to offer this opportunity to the University of Delaware students and recent grads. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.